The following program is for entertainment purposes only. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 years or older and present in a state where wagering is legal. All bets that are placed are at your own risk. Welcome to the deep end of the sports book. This is Unnecessary Wagers, an original production of the Empty the Bench Network. This is the show where the mainstream lines are just the starting point, and no prop is too obscure to be ignored. We look through to find the value in the margins and the wins lying in the weeds. So, to help you find your way to the window, here are two guys who never see a long shot they don't like. Please welcome your hosts, Conor Rowland and Nate Miller.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unnecessary Wagers. Welcome, Conor. I'm excited to get going and doing this with you. This is our new show. We're
our debut, our maiden voyage here.
Yes, it is. Our inaugural episode, as you could say, for the two of us doing this show. This show is around year-long, but now that it's primarily baseball season, and that's getting into full swing, no pun intended, me and Conor, we're going to be taking over the show. So I think
driving the boat now.
I think we're both very equally excited to be doing this together. So, Conor, welcome.
Thank you.
Floor is yours now.
So, I really like to kick things off with just a discussion at the last, 2 weeks at large, and what an absolute treat it's been. We have had so many underdog victory upsets, and for a gambler, like, that's the best thing ever. I in fact, at one point, I think it was the first week of the NBA playoffs. 4 of the underdogs set to play that night won. Which, if you're a sports gambler and you've done that strat where it's like, oh, maybe I'll just take 3 of the underdogs today and I'll throw $5 on it and see what happens. That shit never happens, but it happened. And in the NBA playoffs, Series 1 of all things, Game 1, it was insane.
Yeah, that was there was a lot of underdog action recently. I mean, there have been no true favorites that are just winning out right now across anything, I'd say, except for the Cubs over the last 9 games. But hey, tonight the Cubs are in LA as underdogs. So,
and it's funny because I'm a tourist when it comes to basketball. I have a lot of friends who are super into basketball, and I copped out when I started branching out from football, and they're like, pick a team. I was like, well, I'm a Lions fan, so go Pistons, right? That was my choice. And it's been unreal to hear lifetime basketball fans go, Magic's got no chance. Or here's my favorite one. Knicks fans fully aware of the 16-year-long curse that used to affect them. And they think all of a sudden Trae Young's gone. The curse is gone. They think they're cured. No, I'll tell you what. I knew that I was going to be taking the underdog there with the Hawks. I absolutely knew that was going to go our way, and it's been real fun to show it's been real fun to show the Hawks as winners to all my NBA friends. My Knicks fans, unfortunately, I've been checking in on them, and they kind of just yell at me.
I'm on the Knicks. I did pick a bracket for these NBA playoffs, and I have the Knicks go into the Eastern Conference Final. Actually,
I'd love to see it happen. I think they deserve it.
I think the Knicks can get it done.
And here's my issue with the Knicks. Statistically speaking, you have all these superstars on the team. Like any single one of those players would find a nice home with good usage on any other team. Their whole bench strategy is let's just assemble the fucking Avengers, forget bench depth. We'll just figure it out here on the starting line. And if we can't get it done with these guys, we can't do it. And so when I look at the Knicks player by player statistically, you think to yourself, oh, yeah, they should win. But in typical New York sports team fashion, it would not be a sports game with a New York team if they didn't show up to the game with a Glock pointed directly at their foot. It wouldn't be real.
Yeah, I mean, hey, New York sports, it's been very up and down for them recently. I mean, talk about the Mets. Finally,
I can't
getting
believe
off
the
their 12-game losing streak.
Against my Twins, by the way. Here's the thing. We'll show this later on. The last 2 weeks, I've been eating so good, taking Twins run lines. And then when I saw that game, I literally thought to myself, I was like, I know statistically, eventually the losing streak has to end. But on my Twins, on my front yard, on my porch, are you kidding me?
That's because Book It with Trent bet on the Mets, or bet against the Mets for the game that broke their losing streak.
And the worst part was as I placed that bet, I literally told myself the Mets are gonna win this. And all the stats were there. It was telling me in my head, but when I look down, and here's the thing, you never, and I break this rule all the time, but if you're a gambler, you never, ever, ever bet on your own team. It's impossible to be non-biased when it's your team. You always assume that you're going to get the best version of your team that night because you have all these memories and all this information of them really pulling it through, as long as you're not a fan of like a poverty franchise like the Raiders or something. You'll be happy. But the thing is you can't bet on your team. You just can't do it in a non-biased manner.
It's tough. It's hard. And I think I can bet on my team in a non-biased manner for baseball just because we have Paul Skeens. So, like, on days he starts, like tonight, it's just like, all right, you're betting on one of the best aces in the game. It's like, that's how I'd feel if I just bet Tigers every time Tarek Skubal pitched or the Red Sox every time Crochet threw. Like, I think here's do that in baseball because everyone, like a lot of these teams have a guy that just go out
and throws piss missiles,
down ace. But yeah, in terms of like basketball or something, like I never had a team because Pittsburgh guy. Obviously, we don't have NBA here, so I just kind of root for Russell Westbrook. But
that's fair, yeah.
Well, I love Russell Westbrook. I wish he got a ring. But
there are that's the tragedy of the NBA. There are so many players who are just so good who never get like the chip, so to speak. And it's like, you want them to succeed, you want to love them, but it's just not their fate, man. And like I feel like in basketball, you can rely on player stats a lot more than you can wins. Like just argument's sake here, it's football, and I know I'm going to piss off a lot of Patriots fans here, but Tom Brady is constantly in the GOAT conversation at all times, and he's never going to leave because of the amount of Super Bowl rings he has. Take away those Super Bowl rings, and he's a great QB, but he wouldn't be the GOAT.
Oh, and yeah, no, 100%. I agree with that entirely. Like ring culture in sports is such a huge deal. That's like especially why like this time of year is really fun because you're just coming off like Super Bowl storylines and everything, and now you're gearing up for all right, who's going to etch their name into the history books of the NBA, who's going to have their name on the Stanley Cup in the NHL. Like there's a lot of like career and franchise defining storylines, and they're just like current stuff up for grabs in terms of that career wise whenever you get to this time of year. It's very fun.
I did catch it. Obviously I can tell you're a Pirates fan. We've had that conversation before, but do you really think that the Pirates are going to win up against my Brewers? Like, You think you think that's what you think that's gonna happen?
It's Paul Skeens.
I mean, sure, but he's
And
pitching.
you're pitching Brandon Woodruff, who's not the Brandon
Listen.
Woodruff he used to.
Our pitching is not what makes us winners. All right, we're the team that shows up and drop 12's run on your head.
I don't think you're going to be dropping 12 on Paul Skeens, and the Pirates are going to be able to hit well off Brandon Woodruff. So,
the
Pirates are kind of a no-brainer tonight.
My whole ethos is this, right? As long as we can keep it to a one-score game by the time Paul gets off the mound, that game is fucking ours. We are.
Yeah, I mean, what about Gregory Soto and Dennis Santana at the back end of the bullpen that are just gonna throw 6 outs and no run ball? Like, what if we get Skeens 7 and that happens? You're toast.
If that happens, the plan totally falls apart. And then next time we do ETB Lounge, I'm gonna be like, yeah, man, the Pirates were a no-brainer. That's why I took them on 4 of my bets, live betting in the middle of the game.
Think about the Brewers are just coming off having faced Tarek Skubal, so
it was rough.
It's not going to exactly. Now they got to go right to Paul Skeens. Like, that's not – these guys are going to be fighting for their lives out there. And then you got to face a pretty solid Mitch Keller tomorrow. Mitch Keller's he's not on anywhere near the echelon of Skeens and Skubal, but in terms of starting pitcher, he's in the upper third of starters, I'd say, right now. So you guys got some tough pitching you got to face right now.
Well, this brings us to a really good point because clearly, and I'm a Twins fan, but I love the Brewers because they're sensational to watch and they make so many of my run lines come true. So obviously, in this fight, I'm a Brewers fan, and that brings us to the point of he's right. Nate is right. The Brewers are most clearly, definitely the underdog here, and I'm curious to hear what underdog favorites you've got going on this week.
Underdog favorites I got going on this week. So honestly, the first one is the Athletics. I like the Athletics.
I do too. I do too.
I think they're kind of just starting to figure something out, and
they're a little saucy. They can make some shit happen when you don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's like they got Eovaldi going tonight. They're playing the Texas Rangers. They got Eovaldi going tonight. He hasn't been having like the best year.
But he hasn't been having a terrible year either.
Yeah, he's like okay, but the Athletics tend well to do. Their offense tends to do well against pitchers who are just okay. And then Luis Severino, that is technically the ace for the Athletics right now. So you got your number one guy going. You are on the road. The Rangers have been playing good ball, but I think in terms of underdogs, who I like, you definitely got to take a peek at the Athletics. And then I'd say the Cubs too.
Yeah.
The Cubs in LA. They're plus 138. They got Tyone on the bump going up against Emmett Sheehan, not the strongest starter that the Dodgers have. And, when a team's hot. Like, I don't know if you'll like them plus 1.5 or just the money line straight up, but the Cubs are good.
So here's the thing,
right now.
Especially when you're building up,
but
it's true. It's like you bring up a good point, like just the money line, because like here's going off of DraftKings, mind you, DraftKings has them at plus 135. If you have them in a 3-leg parlay, you shouldn't jeopardize your payout for the run line. Take the money line, take the safer option because you're already taking a risky option, and that's true whenever you're working with underdog favorites. I personally, one of my favorite underdogs for tonight is, I think the Nationals, man. I think the Nationals might kick Chicago's teeth in. And my reason for this is the Nationals are a very strange team. They got PJ on the mound. He's pretty decent. He's finding his stride. I would call him, he's not like an electric sort of pitcher, but he's a great game manager. In games where he's on the mound, the score stays tight until the Nationals can get away with it. And I've seen them do this strategy really, really well against much better teams that have a much better batting average. So for me, whenever I'm looking at baseball underdogs, it's always about how well does their best pitcher perform against the best batting average teams they gone up against. And what's more is it has to be in the lens of the last 10 games, because if you stretch that out to all the games that they played thus far, that's so much data to pollute how that player is currently playing. We've seen instances, Paul Skeens, especially when it's with his first game, a really great player shows up, kind of shits the bed, and then it takes a while, like a few more games for them to get back into their rhythm. So I think that's why it's really important when you're looking at these underdogs to look at them at the scope of the last couple games, the last 10 games.
Yeah, I definitely like doing that. I think you need to look at like players' numbers and everything as an aggregate. I also like Connor Griffin to go yard tonight because it's his birthday.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I committed this week to me. I bet him yesterday, today, and I'm going to bet his home run tomorrow too, just because he's either going to hit one the day before his birthday, on his birthday, or the day after his birthday. Like, it always seems to fall that right around there somewhere for like first career home run stuff. So I'm not just doing birthday. I got to cover day before and day after, because sometimes it'll just miss by one. I was gonna say it's probably gonna be the day after his birthday, because that's
it's
gonna
when
be
you
the
stop
first day I don't bet
it's
it.
gonna land. It's funny you bring that up, because for me, player props especially, I really try and stay away from them because, so I build my parlays 4 to 5 legs. That's a sweet spot. Sometimes I'll do 6, but if you're taking 4 teams, 2 of them have the run line, one's a simple money line, and maybe one's like a dependable one that's like negative 135 to win, negative 200 to win. Like they're a fair pick. Like, for example, on some of my parlays, it's a 5-legger where the 5th leg is the Rockets to win, and they're negative 320 at the time that I placed them. So they're just like that safety bet. I tend not to take player props in these because if everything goes well, same reasoning why I wouldn't take the run line on the Cubs when they're plus 135. If everything goes well, would you really risk like an $800 payout for just one more strike to maybe win another $100? I wouldn't.
Exactly. You shouldn't. I mean, now do I fall victim of like, I want to get a little afternoon action, and then I mess around and now I got like a 7-legger that pays $18,000?
Oh yeah.
Sure. But like, you got to have both sides, like every once in a while you got to be able to just find something like a couple bucks you throw on that would be a insane amount of money to get if it hits. But then you also got to have like your bets that you place 10 or 20 on to win like 60 to 80 on, just to, see some money come through, like have some small, like fairly certain this is going to happen bets that you have in your arsenal.
My reach bet tonight, and this is the one that like I don't think is gonna land, but we have it there anyway. I got $50. I got the Guardians run line. I've got the Twins winning. I've got the Athletics run line, because I do agree with you. I love the Rangers. They've done me really well early in the season. They have been performing kind of lackluster at the bat on the scoreboard. So I think the Athletics do have a better explosive capability. So I took the Athletics run line. And you know what? Even though they're not officially the underdogs, we had a discussion beforehand. We think they are going to struggle quite much with the Red Sox. I did take the run line for the Orioles. We've been conversing, and we think the Red Sox are not actually the underdog in this fight.
Yeah. I mean, well, wait, who do you say you have as the underdog in that game? It might be different now. Or no, wait, I keep looking at that. I did it earlier. I looked at the game with Crochet again.
Yeah, I have it's Brian Bello who is pitching for the Red Sox, and he's not terrible. And Brandon Young, though, I can say verifiably, dude's cheeks. That's a guy that put a baseball cap on, played in high school. They found him in the stands somewhere, and they were like, "Sign right here, bud," and they signed him onto the team. Because here's the thing. If you can't reliably get more than 3 strikeouts in a 10-game period, congratulations, bud. You've entered the wall of bums. I put you up on a wall, and that's where you stay until you manage to beat that strikeout line.
I actually find it really interesting that in that Red Sox Orioles game, that the Red Sox are the underdog plus 102, but they have the run line at minus 1.5, which is
It's
also plus money. And then the Orioles are the favorite on the money line, but they're plus 1.5 in the run line.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show that, Brian Bello as a pitcher performs extraordinarily better than Brandon Young has. Am I saying he's dog water? No. But again, if your pitcher can't get more than 3 strikes in 6 innings, because that's usually the average that a pitcher will stay on a starting pitcher will stay on the field as long as he's not like terribly shitting the bed. If you can't get 3 strikes in 6 innings, dog, hire a trainer. Go back to the basics. Do something.
Reassess something.
Yeah, maybe throw a football around and do a reverse Kyler Murray where you realize, oh, I'm actually way better at this.
The Pirates are actually on a streak right now. I think it's 62 consecutive games where their pitching staff has had 6 or more strikeouts. It's like
that'd be a good player prop to take then. Total strikeouts for the team.
5th or 6th longest in MLB history, something like that.
That tells me I smell something on the wind. I think that tells me that Paul Skeens is going to throw a turd tonight and get pulled off the mound at 3rd inning. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, no, it doesn't just have to be for the starter for it to bust.
It just has to be the whole
pitchers combined throughout the course of the game. They find their way. So Skeens could duff early, get no Ks, but then the bullpen comes out and gets 6. Like that's how good they're pitching right now.
And the confidence that you show with that pitching core, I have to respect it. And I think that brings us really well into our next segment here, where we just got done talking about the underdog favorites. We like the Athletics, we like the Cubs. We don't like the White Sox for today. That brings us into our listen. The Brewers are going to be just fine. All right, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That does bring us into, however, our anchor picks. What do we think's really going to stick today? What do we think's going to happen?
I mean, Pirates money line. I'm not they. So okay, if you don't like Pirates money line, go out and bet on like Pirates run over. Because this year, out for whatever reason, Skeens' pitching day has gone complete 180. Like, that is the day we score all our runs. Last time he pitched was during a rain delay, so that hurt us. But before he was pulled in the 4th, the Pirates already had 4 runs. And I'm pretty sure they put up 7+ in every single one of his starts that haven't been affected by rain. So if you can get like a Pirates alt at like 5 or 6+, if you want to go out there and reach for something, you could take that. If you want to be safe, just take their over at whatever it's set at. But I love the Pirates to go over in their runs today. They've also been, winning, losing every other game for a while now. So
yeah, there's a pattern.
This one looks like a win if I'm a pattern follower, which I am. And with Skeens on the bump and offense going up against Brandon Woodruff, who is not the Brandon Woodruff.
He's not ideal, man. He's not ideal. I'll tell you that much.
I'm anchoring on the Pirates. I'm trying to get their total run line. Yeah, their over-under is 3.5, and it's minus 115. Honestly, let me anchor the Brewers under 3.5 runs. They have,
wow. You don't even think, okay.
They have the same line as the Pirates. Give me the Pirates over 3.5 and the Brewers under 3.5. I don't think Brewers put up that many on Skeens. I think Skeens has a day, and then the Pirates, I think they tattoo Woodruff. So simple as that.
It's funny you mention that because so for me personally, an anchor pick that I really, really like is it's gotta be Taj Bradley with the Twins. Now the Rays have this weird tendency to play really well against teams that they have no business playing this well against. I can't really figure out the Rays, which makes them really confusing for me. I love the Twins.
I can't figure them out either, and I hate it.
I don't think they can figure themselves out. I think they get into the dugout and they're like, do we know how to play baseball today? No. That's Tuesday. Oh, my bad.
Their baseball's enigma. They were put into baseball just purely to cause chaos and mess up whatever you think is going to happen. That's what the purpose of the Tampa Bay Rays is this season.
But I will say I do like the Twins for today. You know, Taj Bradley has been performing exceptionally well. I'm pretty confident in him. His over right now is over 4.5. You know, and that's really doable for a guy that regularly shows up to the mound and throws 7 strikeouts in a game. You know, he hasn't done it recently, but he has been performing well enough that I would take him on the over. I would take him on the over for 4.5. I also don't think the Rays have got a truly fleshed out batting core that knows what they're doing consistently every single day. So I'm also betting on the idea that the Rays are going to show up and not know what they're doing, which makes the over for Taj a lot more likely. On top of anchors, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on the Pirates. I want the Brewers, but I think you're right for that strikeout.
I sure hope so.
I mean, if not, I'll probably be gloating in the Slack channel, but you know.
You probably will be. But honestly, this is the thing that comes back to betting on your favorite team, right? It's like all signs point that I should bet on the Pirates, but it's like, oh, but wouldn't it make more sense to bet on the Brewers so I can either be happy or make money tonight, and it doesn't have to be either all or nothing?
Yeah, you can wipe away your tears with dollar bills.
Yeah, like there is always the conundrum of people trying to hedge their favorite team because it's like, well, should you sometimes?
You know, that brings me to basketball, because when I bet on basketball, again, I'm not a real basketball fan, so I have no real emotion in the sport. You know, it's purely stat driven. Now, I will say that maybe not so hot take. I think basketball is objectively the most corrupted sport in regards to blatant rigging. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
So in terms of me viewing a sport and looking at it as dependable because I don't have emotions in it, that's a loaded gun, because again, there's undue influence all the time, especially when sports betting is involved. It just seems to happen most specifically to basketball. Who knows? I do think the Rockets are going to perform exceptionally well today. I don't think the Lakers are going to be there to meet the challenge. They're negative 340, and I think the Rockets really have something to prove here. You know, yeah. I think they took that loss against the Lakers quite personally. I had a feeling that the whole team thought that they were going to show up and, no pun intended, dunk on them, and it didn't happen. And nothing is more competitive to go up against than a vindictive sports organization.
Yeah, no, because honestly, I mean, I think Sengun's taking it pretty hard. I don't know how confident I am in just going to be like, all right, then I'm going to go blindly bet Alperen Sengun overs. I mean, part of me wants to. I don't think
the party that wants to make that 17-leg parlay for 75 cents. Now I got you.
Yeah, like I don't know if I'm going to go out and do it, but it's definitely something that interests me, because it's like you could just see he's taking it hard, and then when it comes to the playoffs, like guys like that, you know, they tend to be able to bounce back. Now, in terms of like the Penguins, like I'm not going to tell you, oh, Sidney Crosby's going to score a goal and Malkin's going to score a goal because they're down 3-0, because their offense is just playing so terribly that I have no faith in their ability to generate points, right? But
today's going to be the game in which they do that, though. The day that you don't bet on them is when they're all like, "We know how to play fucking hockey."
I haven't bet on them yet, which makes me think I need to bet on them for them to win, which is like so counterintuitive to a gambler. Like playoffs, I don't bet on my team like game by game necessarily. Like I'll do futures because I don't want to feel like I'm jinxing it. Like that's
well, it
a part
also
of
makes
it.
sense. Going back to your earlier point, do you want to be happy or do you want to have money? It's especially bad for you to bet on your team in the playoffs and you get fucking fleeced of your money and your team sucks. Like it's so brutal.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Dude, I remember in our Lions faded Super Bowl run, it was supposed to happen despite all the injuries we had. When we lost to the rookie Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, I lost like $920 that night. And I had to wake up the next morning, look myself in the mirror, and be like, not only is my team no longer in the Super Bowl, the dream is dead. Ben Johnson's definitely going to leave, and so is Aaron Glenn. I just donated $920 to a fucking rookie with the oldest team in the league, oldest average team player.
Yeah, that was a rough go of it. When I was up at Michigan State, I remember watching that Commanders-Lions game with, I think there were probably like mostly Detroit fans there because it's a college in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I had my one buddy who was a Washington fan, and he was just going. He was having the time of his life this game.
Oh, I bet. Because they not only did they meet.
I bet on him that game too, just because I was like, hey, what the heck? They're the underdog. Like, I can make a decent amount of money for only like 20. I think they were plus like 200 or 300.
They were
at least that game because it was in Detroit. So I put a couple units on it, made some good money. But yeah.
And it's funny you bring up how you don't want to bet on your team and jinx it, and going back to patterns. Here's a really nice, I would say, redemption story. So last year, when I was really diving into baseball and really getting into figuring out which teams that I like, who do I want to rep, I wasn't always a Twins fan. The 3 teams I watched all the time was the Guardians, the Twins, and the Brewers. And I decided that I was, at the beginning of that season, I was going to be a Guardians fan. And then the curse happened. And the curse is every single time, and I'm not exaggerating, I mean actual mathematically, statistically, 100% probability, it happened every single time. Every time I bet on the Guardians, they fucking lost. And every time I didn't, they didn't lose. It was so confident of a pattern that when my friends' teams were going up against the Guardians, they would go over to me and be like, hey, man, could you do like a 25-cent bet on the Guardians? Yeah, no, I got you.
That's
and
hilarious.
Now the Guardians are great. Now I feel confident in putting money on the Guardians.
No, I can't say I've ever had a team that did me quite that poorly, but there have been teams that, like, you just cannot figure out for the life of you. Like in football, that team for me for a while was the New York Giants before I just pulled the plug on
that's fair
betting on them. Like, because for a while you're like, oh, they're not that bad, but they're not that good either. Like, they're just kind of weirdly, like, they're losing games somewhat competitively, but then like you would bet on them in like a week 8 game or something and they lose by 45 and you're like, never touching the Giants again. And then they go out, win their 3rd game of the year the next week or something. And you're like, you can't be like this.
I remember, and it was such bullshit. Last season, the Giants were going up against the Eagles. And you remember this comeback, right? Everyone was kind of sitting at their TV wondering what the fuck just happened. No, excuse me. I apologize. It wasn't the Giants. It was the Broncos going up against the Eagles. The Broncos that did this. All I had left on this parlay is the Eagles needed to win. If the Eagles won, I won $7,300 right there. I was out airsofting with friends, so I put my phone in my bag. I'm in and out of the room. I'm just having a good exercising time, trying to keep myself, fit, firm, healthy, all that jazz. And I come back out, having a great time. Go to pull out my phone. I see, they're up by the half. This is in the bag. I could have cashed out for like $1,800, but I'm like, why would you? It's the Eagles, former Super Bowl champs. There's no way they're going to lose to fucking Bo Nix. Put it right back in the bag, go out, do one more round, come back. In 15 minutes, somehow the Broncos came back, won, and cooked my whole parlay.
That hurts. That hurts. Losses
it's the
like
biblical
that
greed, man. I should have just took the 1,800. Why chase it? If there's already a comma mark in the payout, you might as well take the W.
I had so many bets that missed it off of like one reception. Like I had a 6-legger in the Raiders Cowboys Monday night game earlier this year that just needed CeeDee Lamb to catch one more pass to hit.
That was the game. No, that wasn't the game where he went down with the concussion.
No, but it was one more catch to win a few $100s, and it was that one where it was like 3rd and goal or 4th and goal or something, and he just dropped it. Like,
oh, that was when he was like had the Butterfingers phase. Yeah.
That cost me. It didn't cost me that much money, but it allowed me to miss out on making a lot of money. and I haven't forgotten about that one.
So to wrap up right now for our anchor picks, we're liking the Rockets. We're liking the Pirates. We are liking
We like
the
the
Red Sox
Athletics.
and the Athletic. Well, the Athletics is an underdog. Are you willing
True,
to
they're
make your
not our anchor
underdog
pick.
pick your
They're one
anchor
of the
pick?
they're one of our underdogs. I like the Pirates to score. I can't find an alternate for it, so just either take the over for the game or Pirates over 3.5. I love that.
That's very doable. That's very doable. I think now if you were to just build a parlay off of those picks, that's a great 4-leg parlay. $20 in, you're gonna have a good time. I always tell people if you're never certain on a parlay, never put more than a tank of gas on. Now I know gas is expensive right now. $25 don't fill up the tank like it used to, but if you're looking for something dependable, I would my favorite anchor pick for the day is I took the Pirates run line, I took the Guardians run line, and I took the Rockets. Those are my three that like in and out, quick little fun, $200 profit. That's what I'm taking home.
Yeah, I do that, and then I just add in the Pirates to score 4 runs, which feels like the kind of thing you add in that either makes it or breaks it. So that's if you want to have fun, but also want to potentially get really upset with yourself after for adding another leg.
It's always the final
may or
leg.
may not need to be there.
And that's a great transition to player props, because is there truly any better killer to the parlay besides biblical greed than player props?
No, player props are just. I'm only good at player props in football. Like NFL player props, I'm money. Like I did this thing with some people last year where we would just like all pick a leg. We started it in like week 12 because we just didn't do it for a while. Like we bet, but we didn't have the system yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'd make a parlay for every Sunday windows and then Monday and Thursday. So we're making like 5 a week where we just everyone picked a leg. Couldn't be like more likely than minus 200, I think was the number we picked. And then like in terms of being a long shot, like plus 1,000,000 or whatever, like you could pick a plus 2,000 if you wanted to for your leg, but it probably won't hit. But regardless, we tallied it up to see who would have the best like percentage, and I won. We had to do a tiebreaker on the Pro Bowl because after the NFC Championship, we were tied, and there needed to be a winner declared by the Super Bowl because that's where like all the benefits of winning kicked in. Mm-hmm. So we had to do a tiebreaker on the Pro Bowl, and I got the AFC, and that's how I took it home.
What a tragedy that has become the Pro Bowl. Honestly, it feels like it's almost like a JUCO Columbine at this point. Like nobody takes it seriously, and time was like in the 80s. The Pro Bowl was like if you made it to the Pro Bowl, you played your ass off.
Yeah, like remember Sean Taylor laying guys out in the Pro Bowl back in the day? Like,
catching bodies.
But
now it's like now you have players like I remember last year's Pro Bowl, Jared Goff got invited. Because the first pick declined, and he only gave a maybe. So then Shador was going to be the backup to Jared in case Jared didn't go.
Interesting. I remember oh god. I lost my train of thought. Like I had it and then I just immediately lost it. So there goes my cool transition into the next part of the conversation that I had planned because
we kind of went out into the weeds. We brought in player props and immediately we're like, yeah, the Pro Bowl fucking sucks now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's because it's like I get with all the injuries, like making it flag football, but I said this when I did my first episode of Give and Takes. They need to add in the charity aspect that the NBA has, so these guys want to win and compete and put an entertaining product out on the field because they need to find a way to do it somehow. Because I'm okay with keeping it flag football as long as the people on the field are still trying. Because I still think it could be an entertaining product of the best football players in the world playing flag football against each other. But that's only if the game is like good. Like if I see them go, if they're out there competing like, all right, AFC, you win, you get $500,000 for your conference's Walter Payton Man of the Year's charity, and then vice versa, other side, whoever the NFC's Walter Payton Man of the Year is, $500,000 goes to his charity if the NFC wins. So now these guys have reasons to want to play hard and win. Like, I think that's something that event needs because, like I said, the flag part I think is fine for now, but they need to just give them a reason to want to win because right now there's no reason to want to win the Pro Bowl.
And that's where I kind of agree with the charity thing. But what's more is if you want the Pro Bowl to matter again, put your money where your mouth is and start giving every player an incentive in their contract where if they make it to the Pro Bowl, they win X, they'll get X amount of dollars. And then for every statistic they put up in the Pro Bowl, make it exponentially more. Make it so that a star wide receiver could walk home with an extra $2.5 million just for playing in the Pro Bowl. Because, and here's the thing.
Do you think they do that, though, with all the gambling that goes on with stuff nowadays?
Well,
like, I couldn't see them doing it at like an incentive-based payout like that just because of how many illegal gambling schemes there are now. Like,
well, it's definitely like the chicken and the egg sort of problem, because if the fans don't think the Pro Bowl matters, then the organizations won't care if their players make the Pro Bowl. And then the organizations themselves aren't really going to support the Pro Bowl. Organizations inherently are a sports organization first, but they're completely fueled by money. If there is a profit to be made with your players going to the Pro Bowl, then there is a reason that they'll actually pursue it. And then there'll be a reason why they'll incentivize their players to do so. If we can find a way to credit teams that have X amount of players make the Pro Bowl, to incentivize organizations to actually have their players show up and play in the Pro Bowl, then I think we can make the Pro Bowl matter again. From a player's perspective, if you can convince a player with a payout to go out there and potentially risk their body on a game that's technically not regulation, it'll happen. It's just back then the Pro Bowl mattered. Now it doesn't. And what does matter to the NFL and to these sports organizations is viewership and money. So I feel like there's a perfect pairing there somehow.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a way. And I know they're like, as much as fans want to complain and say that they're never going to do anything to fix it, I guarantee you there are people out there trying to figure out ways, because the Pro Bowl is basically just like this big pot of money that the NFL is sitting on, but it's locked because the players don't want to play, so they can't get into that.
I mean, you make a good point
money.
with the charities.
If they could find a way to get them to make it more entertaining, then you actually get people start wanting to watch live and go there and participate in whatever fan stuff you do and buy merchandise. Like,
well, maybe they can do it where whatever money you earn in the Pro Bowl as an organization, like you were talking about, goes to a charity. Make that money get, like, you know how you can deduct your taxes based on how much you donate to charity?
Yeah.
Make the same thing happen to a salary cap for a team. If your teams makes it to the if you have X number of players make it to the Pro Bowl and they hit a certain financial goal that goes to a charity, they get that money back in salary cap the following season. I think that will be interesting because it'll incentivize organizations to make the Pro Bowl. It'll incentivize players to perform in the Pro Bowl. And then in doing so, it rewards the organization for the next season coming, which helps build dynasties. And that's what I think is really interesting with the NFL is dynasties don't really exist anymore. Like, they happen for a 1 to 2 year period, then they die down.
I mean, I'd say the Chiefs dynasty probably lasted from like Super Bowl 54 to until they just lost in 59. So that was a nice little like 5-year run they had. I'd maybe say 6. I'd say they got going, honestly. I know a dynasty technically starts with the championship typically, but they took Tom Brady to overtime in the AFC Championship in 2018. I'm pretty sure Super Bowl 53 year. I'd probably say that's when the Chiefs dynasty began. That was year 1 of it. Year 2 is just when they happened to win the championship.
All this aside, player prop wise, I have to say I liked where your mind at was with Sengun. I think Sengun is going to play a little bit more aggressively today. I think he's going to be a little bit more of a ball hawk. He's going to want to perform, you know. I think they have a point to prove now.
Yeah.
And like I said before, there's nothing more dangerous than a player or a team that's playing vindictively. Now, if we're looking at Sengun as a whole, his overs and unders for right now, they have him at 20 points, averaging 20 points per game, which, I think that's a really great stat line. I'd probably take Sengun personally for 16, over 16 points. Rebounds, he's averaging 8.9 a game. I'd probably take him I would take him at 8, maybe 7. And for assists, he's at 6.2, but I think there's going to be some better shooters today. So I think he's going to do well on assists. I think he's going to hit the over on his assists.
I like his PRA, points, rebounds, assists. 35 plus is minus 120. If you take those 20 points, 6 assists, and 8 rebounds on average, you add those up, that's averaging 34 right there. So you're basically betting on him to go one above average if you take the 35 plus at minus 120. But if you go 40 plus, it's plus 220, which is very interesting to me, that just going 5 over about what he averages is that big of a jump odds wise, a 300-point jump odds wise.
And it's funny too, because say what you will about the flop era, but fouling has now added such a degree of viability to overs on points. Like, look at Shy, man. Dude, it feels like half of the points he's made this season have just come from penalty shots, and it's really been helping him hit his overs. It's inflated his stats like crazy, mind you, because these are uncontested points that are getting looped in, but
they count as points just the same.
And it's the fouls in basketball that really are killing a lot of these teams. And similarly so, when we move over to baseball, it's the ABS, which is, I guess, in my eyes, their version of the foul system, because it's such a free gimme. You can have a batter go, no, check that, or a catcher saying, no, check that. And because of the ABS system, a lot of overs on player props for strikeouts are happening, because all it needs is that little sliver of ball to be in the zone and it counts.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting thing, man. I thought people were saying for a while that they wouldn't even have the little box on the screen because of people maybe like being able to see things or live bet things on pitches before ABS happened or whatever, like stuff like that. I'm happy none of that came true because I like having that little box on the screen, but ABS definitely did change how you need to bet on baseball. Like taking that extra strikeout now, like, is going to hold a lot more value than it used to. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And it's funny too, because like I'm looking at Brian Bello right now. Both of us were discussing before the show and during the show. We really like Brian Bello today going up against Brandon Young. He averages about 6 strikeouts a game. Right now, they currently have him at 5 strikeouts is plus 120. I like that. I like that player prop. I would take Brian Bello for the over on him is actually 4.5. If he gets 5, you win. I would take the 4.5 over. I would. I
like that because the Orioles are a team. I feel like I like the Orioles. How would I equate? The Orioles are like the Dallas Cowboys of the MLB for me right now. Like, I feel like they give up a lot of runs, but they score a lot of runs too. Like, they're in a lot of these barn burners. Like, because they have a good offense, but they just have, like, a very, very mid pitching staff. Like, it's just, they have some games where they'll give up, like, 1, 2, but most of the time they're probably giving up 3, 4 runs a game. The crazy thing, though, is just that they have an offense that's able to support that, like, somewhat fairly consistently, so they're not absolute garbage.
And it's funny you bring that up, calling the Cowboys of the NFL because they score a lot but they let up a lot. I always think back to the Bengals, and they're right now they're in hell, and I don't think they're ever going to get out of hell because they refuse to sit down their 3-star players and force them to take pay cuts. Because that's the solution. That's the fix.
Dexter
right
Lawrence did not help whatsoever. They just replaced
will
Trey
he
Hendrickson.
will he help? Yes. Is it going to fix things? No. And
No,
so
he's just gonna help fill the hole that
Trey left.
So it's gonna be the same defense basically that it was last year, except change Trey Hendrickson for Dexter Lawrence. That's it.
And
It's
that's the problem.
baffling me.
And that's the problem because their whole ethos is, oh, if we score good, then they won't score good because we have possession of ball good. And that's how I think the meetings go, personally.
It must be.
I had made a joke earlier before that I've been the janitor for the Bengals GM. And every time I go in there before a draft pick, he shoots himself in the leg after consuming half a bottle of bourbon. And I can confirm that, this whole ethos, whether it's in basketball, football, baseball, this whole ideology that offense is the best offense is just, it's verifiably provable that it's not the case. You cannot drop 40 points, on a team like Dallas does. You can't bomb out as many 3-pointers as you can possibly can in the NBA. And you can't run like 6 runs and hope that to be the only strategy to keep you guys afloat. Because eventually you're going to go up against a team that is either defensive minded or just as offensively minded, and you're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how it goes. That's why these teams never really end up being that good. They can be fun to bet on in spots, certain spots. Yeah. But then you look at it over the course of the year, and these teams that score a lot but give up a lot never really tend to have winning records ever.
And so
they're always people say defense wins championships. No, that is extremely that's not just a thing people say to say. It is absolutely vital you have a defense, because you could have we've seen what happens if you have the best defense in the league and one of the worst offenses. You can still sometimes find your way into games. That was basically Pittsburgh Steeler football for each of the last 5 years outside of last year with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Great defense, absolutely no offense. That team found their way into the playoffs a couple times. And then you look on the flip side of things where it's the Cincinnati Bengals who for the last few years, they've had the best offense and the worst defense. I don't think they've made the playoffs really since their defense reached that level of poor.
Dog water, yeah.
I'm trying to think. 2 years ago, the Broncos ended up getting that 7th seed, right? Not last year, but the year before. Yeah.
No, they have. Burrow has not been in the playoffs, if I recall, since 2019.
Yeah. It's not 2019.
No, not 2019.
He was in college in 2019.
He got called up from LSU, just like he got pulled up from varsity. It's funny.
I think since the year Super Bowl 57 year, I think it's probably 3 straight years now without playoffs for Burrow.
Mm-hmm. So that brings us our player props. Our loves are we like Brian Bello over. We like the overs for the runs on the Pittsburgh. I would take
PRA.
We do want to say Goon PRA. I'm fan of taking him on the over for his assists. Personally, I think his assists are going to go well. I think a lot of the rest of the team is going to shape up, show out, have a little bit more of a presence besides just one man show. Not saying Al Goon's the only guy that's putting points up on the board, but he is a very noticeable player. That does bring us to the last segment of our show, where we just go over some of the wins that have transpired for us in the last 2 weeks. It is great note for us to end on because we talk a lot of shit on this show, and half the time we sound like we hit the pipe right before we came on here. And so this is going to give us an air of legitimacy. Now, mind you, don't look at these picks and be like, oh, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. I'm going to put the rent money on whatever this guy says. But it's always great to share the wins with friends. It's always great to flex a little bit and be like, I saw that. I knew it was coming. Brewers beating the Pirates. Anyway, here are the sensational wins. So we'll start at the week at large. We'll go back the last 2 weeks. We're gonna go over them just a little bit. We only have a few minutes of time here. We only got about 6 more minutes left of the show. So let's see if we can get through these quick. So first up, we have these are all mine, by the way. So I'll give them the quick rundown. Quick little cheeky little 3-leg, $45 in. It's a quick little adventure. I took the Brewers for the run line, the Guardians for the run line. You're going to see them on almost all these parlays because they've been really holding it down for the last 2 weeks. I took the under on 11.5 for the Orioles-Royals game, and I was shitting myself that game because I knew that they were going to possibly break it. And so I cashed out. The total value for this would have been $780. I cashed out, and I only won $305. And it turns out that they finished at 11 runs. So if I left it in there, it would have landed for its full swing. But
saved yourself a heart attack.
Some money's better than no money, you know? Moving up next, we've got, this was on the 20th. This is when the Hawks did their W because the Knicks can't seem to not shoot themselves in the foot. God, I love betting against the Knicks. I did $22, $506 payout. Again, you see another cash out. This is another one that if I left this in here, it would have went out for about $1,000. Not $1,000. I apologize. I misspoke. If I recall correctly, this would have been 800 and change. At the time that I cashed out, the Brewers and the Tigers were very close. So that gives it a little bit more authenticity as to why would you cash out? It was 12 versus 4. Well, that was why. I took the Hawks for the W. I took the Astros for a W, and I took the Marlins for the run line. Marlins are a crazy team. You never really know when they're going to show up and play ball. They share that with the Rays, and I think it's because they're aquatic creatures. That's the link there.
Something's in the water with those Florida teams, man.
You know, Alex Jones said it best. They're putting chemicals in the water. Up next, we've got another cheeky one. This one I went a little bit heavier on, 125. The reason why is I've been winning real well for the last couple weeks. So I had a little bit more purse play. And sometimes when I have a little bit more purse play, I'll shrink the amount of legs, but ramp up how much I'm putting in. So 125 in for a 722 payout. And we hit, baby. You know, I took the Magics, and nobody expected the Magics, but I saw the vision. I was the underdog guy right there. I was so convinced that the Magics were going to win. I threw 125 smackos on it. So we took the Braves run line. I took the Spurs because they were safe. They were dependable. They were reliable. I took them at negative 670.25. Not really worthwhile to put in there, all things considered, but we did it anyway. And then obviously the Magics, which were really going to give me, that was a live bet that I did. Obviously I didn't take them in the beginning of the game. I only took them when I saw that they were tied in the second quarter. So, you know, let's temper my bravery here. I had to see a little bit of something before I gave them faith for $125. Let's see. Moving on next, we've got this is on the 19th. This is the Pirates. There's your guys right there. I took them up against the Rays. That was an easy fucking W. Any team could have showed up and beat the Rays. Maybe the only team that could beat the Rays was the Rays themselves because they had that game for a split second and then they absolutely lost it. So I took the Pirates run line, the Guardians run line, and the Reds run line. $25 for 484. In my head, I'm rounding that up to $500. You know, you can't beat that. Moving down the line, we have the 18th. Again, 2-pick parlay, but we're ramping up the buy-in. 144 for an 840 cash out. We take that W. It was the Cleveland Guardians again. And listen, I'll be talking about this all the time. The Guardians were a team last year. Every single time I bet on them, they shot me in the foot. They shot my bank account. They rickied me, all right? I heard the saxophones going on in the background. I was Cuban Jr. in that movie. But we took the Guardians for the run line. We took the Cardinals. That's a W. That's an 840 cash out. I think that's a worthwhile investment right there. Up next, we've got this is on the 16th. This is the Giants and the Rays. Now, again, I talk a lot of shit on the Rays, but I I think for the most part, I have a weird thing with them where sometimes I look at them and I notice they haven't won their last 2 or 3 games, and I'm like, it's time. They're due.
Yeah, that is how the Rays feel, honestly.
Yeah, right. That's they probably walk into the dugout and they're like, dude, we haven't won a game in like 4 games. Oh, let's just win this one then.
Yeah, like the Rays are never going to be that bad, but they're never going to be that good either. Like you gotta, whenever they're starting to get streaky, you gotta bet on them to go the other way because they're like not a very streaky team. They're just they float in the middle.
Now, we did just get told that Joel Embiid has been ruled out for tonight's game, so that is going to be super important to take notice of. Keep that in mind when you're thinking about your player props, folks. Moving on next, we've got, again, my Twins. $25 buy-in, $3.90 payout. I made this on the 14th. I took Brian Wu, and to be honest, this wasn't a pretty day for me. I took both sides of this game, and I went much heavier on taking Brian Wu for the over and for the Mariners to win. So when this landed, this pretty much just gave me back what I bought in with maybe $80 profit, which, we'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take not losing money.
I'm all in on Brian Wu this year. I love Brian Wu.
Brian's a dog, bro. I love seeing him play. I love always taking him. He always makes me feel a little bit safe and sound. But that game, he didn't show up, and that's all right. My last win for the last 2 weeks was the Twins. This was me just shitting on the Red Sox. This is back when they really couldn't figure their crap out. And I was talking with a Red Sox fan of mine, and all he was doing was complaining. Now, for all you folks who have short-term memory, this was the game that Dave Portnoy tweeted out, "What the fuck is happening?" This was the game where Garrett went almost 5 innings, 0 strikeouts. So that is a big fat W. $45 for a 618 payout. We will take that. And that's been the wins. That's been the sensational picks. I'm looking forward to seeing the underdogs play their hand. I'm looking forward to seeing where the Pirates will fall. Nate, I think we've covered it all today.
I think we have. I think it was a good first go at it for the two of us. Covered some good ball. I like the picks that we have. I love the little 2-legger I made of just Pirates run over and then PRA for Sengun. Just two things. Like I love when 2 things that have absolutely no correlation are together for me in a little parlay. How can you not? But no, it's exciting. It's going to be a fun week of sports to bet on.
Now, I always want to end every show the same. I want to tell everybody, time's tough out there. It's some people are really struggling. I know a lot of people will look at payouts and cash outs and think this is what I'm going to need to get ahead in life. Do not gamble money that you cannot afford to lose. If you are just starting out with sports betting, don't gamble more than a tank of gas, and don't do it more than 3 days in a row if you're losing. You always want to be mindful. There's no point in winning $1,000 in a week if you spent $800 to get there.
Yeah.
You really want to be careful. Mind your P&Ls, your profit and losses, and above all, while you're gambling, remember to enjoy the sport. Gambling is to give you a nice little accent. It's not to consume all of it. This is for the love of the game at its core.
Well said. Well said.
So, we're going to be doing this every Friday at the same time, 5 to 6 p.m. We'll be talking over what's been going on the week at large and what we've got coming up. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys next Friday. Please give us a follow. I'm Conor Rowland at RedMain516, and this is Nate Miller at what's the handle?
I'm Nate Miller.
Keeps it simple.
All you need to know. I'm Nate Miller.
Ladies, gentlemen, enjoy your sports, enjoy your picks, and I hope they all land. Unless they're going against mine, in which case I hope they crash and burn.
Yeah, if you bet on the Birds this weekend, I'm sorry, but I'm rooting for you to lose. Just anybody out there who bets the Birds, I'm sorry. I'm going the other way.
All right, fellas, it's been real, and I think it's time for us to fade out into the background.